We've seen a lot of big names distancing themselves from tennis over the past year. Who can forget that Roger Federer retired after his last appearance at the Laver Cup? And what about in August, when Serena Williams bid farewell to the sport to pursue new challenges? Yeah, it's been a tough time for tennis fans, but now it turns out Williams may have changed her mind. Let's find out just what she said. First up, Serena's possible comeback. Well. Serena Williams is the woman with the 23 Grand Slam titles, and she may just be making a return to the sport. In fact, in a recent appearance in San Francisco, she announced that I am not retired. Of course, it's very shocking to hear this news. Her fans cried when she played her final match at the 2022 US Open, and most of them believed that they were bidding the legend a heartfelt goodbye after she lost the third round to Alya Tomljanovic.
It's really fantastic. So there's still a little left in me. We'll see we'll see.
But it now turns out we may be lucky enough to see her make her return. While attending TechCrunch Disrupt to raise awareness of her investment company, Serena Ventures, she said that there was a high chance that she was going to return to tennis. Of course, she was sure the audience didn't believe her, but she's probably been practicing on her tennis court at home all this while. And do you really think she's lost touch after being such a legend? Because we don't think so. Moving on, Williams wasn't ready to retire just yet. Turns out that when she made her earth-shattering announcement in the summer, she wasn't really planning anything long-term. According to her, she wasn't thinking about it in terms of a whole retirement. At the time, Serena had started her investment company and wanted to spend her time on it, so she jumped right into that, and since then, she hasn't given her tennis career much thought. It was only when she stepped on her home court that she realized something. This would be the first time she wasn't practicing to compete in an event. Makes sense, seeing that she's been playing for the last 26 years. Stepping onto her court made her feel like she was back there for the first time, and while she's loved being back, now she's focusing on finding a balance between the sport, her company, and her family. Coming up, retirement was a transition rather than a dead end. Back in August, when she appeared on Vogue's cover, Serena spoke about her upcoming retirement in detail. She explained that she had disliked the word retirement, particularly when it came to her own career. To her, the career change felt more like a transition than a permanent goodbye to the sport. Plus, she even acknowledged that the word is important to other players and may describe their departure from tennis. But that's not the case for our tennis star, because for her, the word evolution was a much better fit to describe what she was going through. She wasn't leaving the sport behind forever, but opening herself up to exploring new things. Think about Serena Ventures and her family. Not only did she dislike the word, but she also hated the thought of leaving the sport. In fact, her family knows very well that the topic is taboo in their home, and the only one she can open up to is her therapist. Otherwise, the meager mention of retiring from the sport would cause a lump in her throat, and she'd burst into tears. Williams clearly doesn't want to leave, and neither do we. So we're hoping her comeback is just around the corner.
The only person that knew at one point was my therapist, because verbalizing it meant that it was real, and I'm like, I don't want it to be real. So
next up, all she needed was a temporary break from tennis. Williams' essay in Vogue and her recent possible comeback announcement make one thing clear. Serena never wanted to distance herself from the sport. All she needed was a little break to focus on other things in her life. Clearly, she was having a very hard time with the concept of retirement. Think about it. Serena loved the sport since she was a little girl in Compton. She knows just how much this sport has offered her, and she even had the time of her life battling it out on the court and entertaining her fans. In fact, some of the happiest memories in her life stemmed in the hallways, right before she stepped onto the court with her earphones in as she tried to drown out the noise and maintain her focus. So, her reluctance to leave makes sense. We could understand when she wrote that it wasn't easy for her to talk about retirement or even think about it. She simply hated it. Honestly, she just despised the crossroads she had finally arrived at, and she was torn to leave a major part of her life behind. Following up, could she be coming back to break a record? Williams has broken tons of records in her long career. Though she started with a small goal of just winning the US Open, that's history because now she has surpassed enough records. In fact, she even surpassed Martina Hingis's Grand Slam record, after which she broke Monica Seles as well. She eventually tied with Billie Jean King, who Williams considers a pioneer in creating gender equality across sports. But despite all of this, there's one record that remains unbroken. Williams is arguably one of the greatest of all times, but we all know some may disagree because she is yet to surpass Margaret Court's 24 Grand Slam titles. And in her essay, she revealed she thought about breaking that record a lot. In fact, she believes she had it in her to have collected almost 30 Grand Slam wins. But 23 isn't bad, and she knows that too because her achievements are still extraordinary. Like, she persisted and even come back after giving birth to her daughter, Olympia. Whether she was breastfeeding or dealing with postpartum depression, she never stopped playing. So now that Williams has made her intentions clear, she may be returning in 2023 to try to break Court's record one more time. Let's not forget that Williams is already 41, so how long she has left to play is all up to her. Coming up, McEnroe compares Iga Świątek to Williams. Iga Świątek is the current world number 1, who went on to win the 2022 US Open, where we last saw Williams play. Now, John McEnroe has come on the record to claim that the young Pole shares a lot of qualities with Serena Williams. The 7-time Grand Slam champion observed that both players had the self-awareness to grow and change their game to maintain the top spot in the sport. But in some ways, they're completely different too, such as the way they first learned to play the game. But he also said that the comparison was meant as a compliment to Świątek. And honestly, we needed him to clarify that because McEnroe doesn't really hold back on his controversial comments. Świątek plays with a lot more spin, unlike Williams, who has always hit the ball harder and flatter. Adding to that, he said that if Świątek managed to succeed in winning even half the titles that Williams had, she should be happy. But then again, the newcomer is very young and hopefully has a long, illustrious career ahead of her. While Świątek has learned how to spin the ball much harder, Williams has learned how to add spin to her balls. This ability to adapt is exactly what makes these women champions. Moving on, McEnroe doesn't want to pressure Świątek. 2022 has been Świątek's year. The 21-year-old began the season as world number 9, but became world number 1 in April. She's also accumulated a 37-match win streak, which is the longest ever in all of the 21st century. No wonder McEnroe has such high hopes for her. Plus, he said that he believes the Polish player could go on to win 8 to 10 majors. She seems to be in a great headspace, having won 9 titles this year. If she continues this way, she could surpass McEnroe's expectations as well. On the other hand, he knows it would be unfair to predict what Świątek was capable of and compare her to one of the best tennis players of all time. After all, only 5 women had managed to win 10 or more Grand Slams in the Open era, so he doesn't want to put any pressure on the young woman. While no one knows how her career will go, her current performances are very promising, and if anyone was forced to pick from the group of current contenders and choose one player who could break that record, it'd be here. Finally, Świątek, top contender for the WTA Finals crown. The world number 1 is on her way to winning the WTA Finals crown, although 7 other players are trying to stop that from happening. So even though Świątek has dominated the season, she needs to set aside the pressure and continue keeping her eye on the goal. On the other hand, Martina Navratilova, an 18-time major champion, observed that Aryna Sabalenka could make matters harder for the Pole. There was also Caroline Garcia, who's not only got a powerful serve, but also knows how to keep the ball low. And not to forget, Maria Sakkari moves well all over the court. Right now, Iga needs to make sure that she keeps an eye out for her competitors. But there's not much to worry about. If she continues to adjust her game and adapt to the new challenges, she'll sail right through. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Williams is really gonna return to competitive tennis anytime soon? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.